I'm sorry that I can't speak Malayalam. So I'll be speaking in English, and that gives me much benefits because I hardly understood what Father was saying. I hardly understood what Hari Sahib was saying. And I can also take that leverage that what I don't say, please ask them. And what I won't say, please ask Shajar. So, first of all, people on the stage, Madam Shantiraj, Nikhil, Professor George Joseph, and my comrade in arms these days, Shajar, and Father Philip. I'm going to talk about certain things, but I'll begin with certain disclaimers. First disclaimer is that I'm not an expert. I'm a student only, and I'm only trying to share certain ideas with you. And these are not ideological standpoints. When I criticize National Education Policy 2020, they label me as leftist. And when I criticize FYUGP, they label me as rightist. So I don't know where I am. The same way, the nation does not know where the education policy is. So everyone is in Trishanku state. I am only part of it. So I'll come to certain ideas, and NEP, since the fountainhead of all the problems is NEP 2020, so it will keep on coming to my idea of why 4-year undergraduation program. The basic question that comes to my mind and to everyone's mind would be, why 4? What is so magical about 4? Why not 3? Why we could not do it in 3? And why we will be able to do it in 4? And if not in 4, whether we will move to 5-year undergraduate program, and if not 5, then we will move to 6-year undergraduate program. So how long we are going to be undergraduation? So how long is that process that is going to happen? The first and the foremost argument which is given that why we need 4-year undergraduate program is that the students who are coming out of the colleges are not employable. They are not employable enough, and that is why the unemployment. I am not saying that education and economic mobility don't have any relationship, but they are not directly proportional also. For example, I consider myself somewhat literate, but look at the salary difference of mine and Anant Ambani. He would be getting 6 more zeros than me. So education and economic mobility have no established relationship in the country and across the world. So what is this idea? And employment is altogether a different prospect. You have to strategize to generate employment. You have to do certain other things to generate employment, and that's why this country had a program called as Manrega. Otherwise, they would have said that we will give education to everyone. Why Manrega would have been required if all the education system could have been corrected and worked with. So, and the argument that the 4-year of undergraduation program will make us more employable. Look at all the BTech programs in the country. They are already 4-year programs. And 50% of engineers are still unemployed. So this 4-year gimmick does not work. Why and where they got this idea of 4-year? Probably this government, and when I'm saying this government, you can interchange it with the central government or the Kerala government, because there is hardly any confusion. Why there is no confusion? That the left politics is opposing NEP on national level and is vehemently implementing it in Kerala. So you never know which government to blame where and what. So the idea is that where they got this 4-year mantra, where? So when you read NEP, they say that we will give you the ancient Indian ethos If you read NEP, you will arrive at this idea that from ancient Indian system, we just jumped to the freedom struggle. Of course, there was no medieval India, because if you acknowledge medieval India, you have to acknowledge Muslims. And they believe that all Muslims must have gone to the Pakistan after 1947. And if they haven't gone, then we'll throw them in the Bay of Bengal. But somehow this is not happening, but they are discrediting anything which has got Muslim to do with it in medieval India. And there is not a single word to mention about that 800 long year of history. And Muslims and Christians and Sikh, they are anyway are part of a flaw in the idea of Akhanda Hindu Rashtra. So the NEP 2020 envisions that one day we'll have the Akhanda Hindu Rashtra. So to do away with all the obstacles, it is always desired that we stop mentioning them. So anyway, why the 4-year? The 4-year gimmick, there is a place in Europe called as Bologna. Bologna is in Italy. And there are many engineering colleges there. And they wanted to arrive at a parity. They wanted to arrive at a parity that if someone has done engineering in Italy, she must get the job in Portugal or in Spain. So they wanted to arrive at certain parities. What will be the outcome? So they had a series of interministerial conferences and they came up with what we call as learning outcome. And since these outcomes were designed in Dublin, they are also known as Dublin descriptors. So I wrote a piece on this Bologna process and Dublin descriptors. You can Google it and find it on the Deccan Herald page. And when they came up with this National Higher Education Qualification Framework, they copied from that document without changing a comma or a word. They have, I don't want to use this adjective, but they shamelessly have copied it from that document and even do not acknowledge that they have copied it from. So a plagiarized document is being given to us to make us believe that this will make us another Vishwaguru. So this obsession with the Western politics, Western development country, they got this idea that since every Western developed country is following a 4-year program, so we should also follow, then only we can become the Vishwaguru. Because to be a guru, we need to take lessons from the Macaulay, but poor Macaulay was the only person whom they hated the most. But now they are following the same path. So the idea is that why 4 years? Again, they said that now we'll have a very different structure of making you more employable. Acha, how you'll make someone more employable? Look at the argument which is coming from. They said that now, if you are studying a discipline, then you study 90% of courses from that discipline and 10% from subsidiary courses. They said that this is not working. Now you will study only 50 credits for the major course and the remaining we will give you additional courses. Now look at these additional courses. The first gimmick is of ability enhancement course. Ability enhancement course, it provides for 12 credits for English language and 9 credits or 8 credits for modern Indian languages. So you have to do all these languages. Where was I? Sorry. Languages. Sorry, pardon. Once I miss my line of argument, then it's like. So languages, I am not against learning languages, but tell me that if someone has learned languages for 12 years in the school, what is that we are going to teach about language in graduation? In graduation we teach literature. There is a difference between teaching language and teaching literature. If you are teaching language and saying that these students do not know how to read and write, but this is the job of the school. this is not what they come for in graduation. They don't come to graduate to learn to write an essay on cow. This is not the idea when one takes admission in higher education. What is that language nuance that gets left in the school system that you want that everyone should learn, irrespective of whether she is pursuing zoology honors, chemistry honors, physics honors, biotechnology, economics, history? Why? How much of language is too much of language? And what is that language? Look, this is the idea that you need to work in your school education. If you are giving admission to someone who can't read and write into your higher education, then it's problematic with your examination system, it's problematic with your pedagogy of language at the school level. You don't expect a graduate teacher to teach someone how to read and write. This minimum level of learning should be achieved at the school level. So you are giving those 20 credits, and at what cost? At the end will come at what cost? Now let's come to the second idea, which is called as skills enhancement courses. We should have skills, no doubt, because probably if we can't get job, we should have the skills how to fry the fritters, because it has been told to us that you can always fry pakoras and earn a livelihood. So we should also learn how to make gas out of a nala, how to fry fritters. But how and where do we get these skills? And whose skills? Look, it is also a skill how to skin a dead animal. It is also a skill how to take the wool from a sheep. These skills won't be taught in the undergraduation program because they are not the Brahminical skills. Whose skills will come to the curriculum? Is skinning a dead animal not a skill? Is climbing a coconut tree is not a skill? Is making a toddy not a skill? Whose skill would come? And these skills will be that you must learn how to speak English, how to use a spoon and fork. But speaking English was already taught in ability enhancement course. Said what soft skills? They use this word soft skills. What are these soft skills? How much softness that we want from our students? What are these soft skills, like making a folder on a desktop? Is that a skill? Getting a document printed, is that a skill? Making a PPT, is that a skill? And even if that is a skill, that can be still taught at the school level. And if cannot be taught at the school level, then you teach it in a 4-credit course. But again, then you have 9 credits for skills. What are skills and whose skills will get appropriated? And in India, all these people who worked with hands were always relegated to the margins. They were always called as untouchable and achut. So working by hand was never taken as something idea of Brahminical learning. So that's why it never came to the... And moreover, the Kothari Education Commission and other education commissions have always talked about vocationalization of education. And for these vocationalization of education, we have ITIs and polytechnics. Open more polytechnics, open more ITIs. Who is saying no? But someone who is coming to study a liberal program like BA or BSc is not coming here to learn a skill. No one is denying that education should not be reformed. But these reforms comes from where? From the public. What public wants? What kind of reforms we want? So someone who is taking admission in BA or BSc does not want to learn the skills of plumbing and electrician. If she would have wanted to be a plumber or electrician, she would have gone to ITI and Polytechnic. Why she would have taken admission to an undergraduate program? So what kind of skills that we want to teach to our students who are coming to BSc and BA programs? So this is a very problematic idea that we are... Now we come to one of the very interesting aspect. Now there will be, they say, that value addition courses will be taught. So value addition courses, what are values? Whose values? Will they teach the value of Dalit aesthetics in the classroom? They have already shunted out the poetry of Dalit writers from the curriculum. They don't want you to learn anything which is critical of the larger Hindu majoritarian idea. So whose value? Why you think that keeping everything in a row is the most aesthetic idea? Remember when we all were taught how to draw a scenery, we always made mountains from the help of a ruler. There was a rising sun and there was a Garangutan river flowing in between. Everyone, even the students of Rajasthan made the same scenery. So whose values we are going to take? Like there was this chapter in the first standard, and it said that we should have 1 glass of milk and 2 eggs every day to be healthy. India is on 107th position in hunger index. How many of the students and learners can have eggs, 2 eggs and milk at their homes? So whose values? You can't tell them to eat beef in the classroom. You can't tell them to eat eggs in the classroom. Why? Because this is not working according to your sensibility. So whose value will come to the class? If someone has been made a male chauvinist for 17 years of growth, you can't teach gender values in the 18th year. If there is communalism outside in the society, you can't teach secularism in the class. Anyway, they don't want to teach secularism. If there is outside Ganesha drinking milk, you can't teach scientific temper in the class. So values are something that we learn from our society, from our surroundings. And do you think that someone who has grown up to 17 or 18 years of age has still not got values? Someone was asking me this question. Our children learn about religion at the age of 3. They can distinguish between 2 religions at the age of 3 before they are given any toilet training. So they learn to pray before they learn to pee. So whose values? And what kind of value systems you are going to inculcate? If the learner has seen that his father bosses around in the house and mother works all day, do you think that this fellow will grow up to work along with his wife? What kind of value system that you want to? If he has seen and she has seen caste system working there, do you think the value of the fraternity will be inculcated? And that too at the age of 18. You think that by the time we are 18 we don't have any values. And you want us to vote at 18. So we are voting before learning values. So we are valueless voters anyway. Since last 3 Lok Sabha elections we are. So what is that? What is that we are going to teach? And similarly the idea of skills. If you want someone to learn to work by hands, 17 years is too much of age. You can't teach someone to work by hand at the age of 17. That is something to be taught at the very beginning. But at the very beginning, what is the new idea? And I'll just passingly mention this idea which is going to affect our school children also, that they have now said that 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 in the NEP. What is this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? That they will take out first and second class from the school and will take it to the Anganwadi. And in the same document they say that the child grows fastest up to the age of 5 years. And when the child is growing fastest mentally, you are handing over her to an Anganwadi worker. A B.Ed trained teacher would have done much better. But and when you will do first and second in the Anganwadi, you will come to third. But when you will come to third, you will have to take an exam. Whether you are good enough to be in third or not. So the first board exam will now be in class 3. No one is telling about these things in NEP. So coming back again to FYUGP. One idea that I wish to talk about, just remind me the time, 10 minutes before. One idea that I need to talk about is outcome-based education. This is again a very problematic idea. Outcome-based education. And skills and values also simultaneously read with it. Look, if I want you to teach any skill, what skills I can teach you? The skills that I already know. If I know how to light a fire by rubbing stones, that is only that I can teach you. And if I keep teaching that, then we will never invent matchsticks and lighters. What is this idea of outcome? If you predetermine the idea of any learning, and you want to predetermine the idea of learning in the measurable terms only, then probably you are stifling all the innovative thinking and new thinking of the learner. And then you want this learner who has been stifled for 3 years to do independent research in the 4th year. That's again a quagmire that is there in FYUGP. FYUGP has a very different story altogether with it. For example, the UGC says that you can graduate out of, look at the interesting program of FYUGP. If you do 3-year graduation, you get degree. If you get 75% in 3rd year, then you get admission for the 4th year. If you don't do dissertation, then you get degree with honors. And if you do, then you get degree with honors with research. How this is problematic, I'll give an allegory. I'll give an example of another thing, and this will help you to clear. There is an exam which is called as UGC NET exam. UGC NET exam is necessary for anyone to become assistant professor in this country. And now what the recent diktat is that the PhD admissions will also be on the results of UGC NET exam. So those who are very good in that exam, think of it, those who are very good of it in exam will get JRF. But those who are not very good in research and getting JRF, they will clear NET. So they are good to teach. They are not good to do research, but they are good to teach. And those who are not good to teach and research and come 3rd, they can still get admission in the PhD. If they are not good for research and teaching, then why to take them in PhD? So, but anyway, this is what the same 3-year program that if, and they say that we don't want you to learn only for the sake of learning, and they have made a categorical criteria that if you get 7.5 CGPA in 3 years, then only you can move to the 4th year. So 75%, how many students get 75% in graduation? They want you to get 75% because then you keep stifling in the classroom. You become obedient, you become polite, you don't ask questions, you follow the lead, you follow the line of the argument which the state is giving you. Because if you give the alternative argument, they won't give you 75%. If you think independently, the teacher will not be happy, she will not give you 75%. So once you learn how to fall in the line, how to think in their structure, then you are free enough to do research. So 75% in graduation. How many students in history, economics, languages get 75%? It is basically only in sciences. that you get 75%. And if you read University of Calicut program, they do not have patience. They very in the third line they said FYUGP. That now we need to make FYUGP to work because we need to evolve knowledge economy. And knowledge economy is dependent on large number of workforce. So now the whole graduation program is about supplying the workforce. And supplying the workforce to whom? India claims that it is the largest English speaking country. But this is not working in the benefit of the country. It is only working in the benefit of multinational companies who open their call centers. And without any reflection, without any application of mind. So you will be amazed to know that the 95% of people who have iPhone in India are having this phone because of the EMIs. And once you get trapped into the idea of EMI, you don't question your boss because you have to pay the next EMI. And that is what they want with us. That you get into the trap. They are like when all these value added courses, skill enhancement courses, ability enhancement courses, these are added to the graduation program, we have diluted the rigor of the discipline. What is this idea of research? They are so obsessed with the idea of positivist research. They are teaching what in the research, mean, median, mode and standard deviation, what a student of Malayalam literature will learn from these. What in English literature a student has got to do with mean, median, mode and standard deviation, and that is the basic research method course that you have to do in the 4th year. They want history to be arrived at because of the mean, median, mode. Yes, they want us to construct history by mean, median, mode. Let us raise hand that how many of us believe that Taj Mahal is a Shiva temple. So you do the survey, take out the mean, median, mode and claim the next day that Taj Mahal is a Shiva temple. That's what the idea of why we learn history. We learn history to differentiate between myth and history. We learn history to differentiate between fact, fiction and factoid. And this is something which is not measurable. Every history student is not going to be a tourist guide or a monument guide. Every political science student is not going to be a MLA. What is the outcome of learning political science? To become a councillor or an MLA? This is such a rudimentary understanding of education that you have to have an outcome of what? That you learn how to write in cursive writing in English. In the era of digital age, when there are fonts, it doesn't matter how beautifully you write. The skills of 21st century are not the same ones of the ones that you think. What are the skills? If you look at the idea of skills, they say that you need to learn communication. That's a very good idea. If we would have allowed our students to ask questions in the classroom, they would have learned the communication skills. If we would have given the teamwork in the classroom, group activity in the classroom, they would have got the team spirit. If we would have student elections in the colleges and university, they would have learnt about democratic ways of living. But we are stifling our students, we don't want them to ask questions. And then we say that they lack communication. And now we want to teach them communication in the graduation. Do you think that someone whom you have made introvert for 12 years of schooling will all of a sudden will become extrovert in the BA program? You are defying the very idea of modern psychology. That how much and what much a student can learn at the age of 17 years. When a learner is coming to tertiary education, the aims and objectives of that student is very different. Only 27% people in India come to higher education. Kerala has a better record, it comes to 29 on the national. But with FYUGP, I think that is again going to fall down. Why? The average marriage age in Kerala for women is 20.5. That is by the time minutes. Like, we need to understand that what is this gimmick of making us all multi-talented global citizens. This is, if you read NEP and FYUGP document also in Kerala, they say that we will make you multi-talented global citizens. And if you read NEP, they said that there will be 8 frameworks: National Credit Framework, National Higher Education Qualification Framework, National School Framework, National Primary Education Framework, National Teacher Framework, National Disability. Having had our heads in shame after 10 years. Thank you.